Hello, welcome to this professional development webinar designed for ED 571, Inquiry Professional Development. My name is Colin J. West, and I am the creator of this webinar. Let's start with a little background about myself. I graduated from Appalachian State University in May of 2010 with a Bachelor's of Science in Political Science. I had a concentration in international and comparative politics. I later enlisted into the United States Army as a medic, where I served until I was honorably discharged in June of 2014. I am currently enrolled in the Master of Arts in Teaching program at North Carolina State University, where I am specializing in secondary social studies education. My projected graduation date is spring of 2016. The text I have chosen to cover for this professional development webinar is titled The Teacher's Guide to Leading Student-Centered Discussions, talking about text in the classroom. It was published in 2006, and its authors are Michael S. Hale and Elizabeth A. City. Michael S. Hale has a background in teaching at both the K-12 and collegiate level and has worked as an administrator at both levels as well. He also has performed extensive work in the field of educational technology. His co-author, Elizabeth A. City, has also worked as a K-12 teacher and principal, and she specializes in the creation of collaborative communities for both students and adults. The central premise for this book is student-centered discussions. Many teachers know the importance of student discussions, but often ask, how do you do that? The authors of this book have answered this question by providing detailed and highly practical accounts on how to facilitate student-centered discussions. They list basic steps for beginner facilitators, offer strategies for seminars as well as pre- and post-seminar discussion tools, and a plethora of information for experienced facilitators. They discuss 4 key dimensions of constructive seminars, including safety, authentic participation, challenge, and ownership, that facilitators must balance. These 4 dimensions will be discussed shortly. The 4 dimensions of successful student discussion. Safety. Throughout this presentation, as well as the native text, there are pictures of fulcrums. These demonstrate the balance that the facilitator must achieve for each dimension, giving examples of what may happen if the balance is not met. For example, in a discussion where safety is not considered, students may make personal attacks at one another, which will hinder future interaction. Key concepts of safety in discussions. What is the tone of the discussion? Maintaining a proper style of discussion is important in classroom discussions, otherwise they can devolve into talk show style free-for-alls, leading to hurt feelings and personal attacks. What is the atmosphere of the setting? To prevent discussions from getting out of hand, it is important to monitor the classroom atmosphere. In order to promote an atmosphere of safety and respect, you must set goals with your students prior to the discussion and reinforce those during the discussion. Creating a culture of inquiry within your classroom will promote the asking of questions and participation in group work. Having this culture established will make it easier for the facilitator to develop the safe and respectful environment required for strong discussions. As students behaving respectfully towards one another and remaining polite even when disagreeing is essential to a successful discussion, sarcasm needs to be kept at a minimum, if not outright banned. While humor and wit are acceptable and can often help promote comfort and levity, sarcasm is a direct attack against another student and will often kill students' desires to participate, or force them to tiptoe around each other. As a facilitator, it is your goal to interrupt discussion proceedings as little as possible. You are an observer, not a participant. However, if the discussion gets unruly, you need to be able to get it back on track. You may wish to call a timeout, where you again become the teacher and guide students towards proper discussion etiquette. Authentic participation. This is the second of 4 dimensions and concerns ensuring that students are participating in a meaningful way. Key concepts of authentic participation. Certain students desire attention. By establishing a safe environment, as outlined in the previous section, you can remove much of the potential for tomfoolery. Within a safe construct, however, some students will still seek attention, either by making random statements or long-winded rambling pieces. An effective way to deal with this sort of attention-seeking behavior is by challenging students to support their answers with evidence from the text. This will often shut down superficial babble. Sometimes discussion will become sidetracked to an unrelated topic. A discussion about a world map may turn into a conversation about world cuisine between students, for instance. While they are behaving respectfully towards each other, the conversation is no longer about the topic at hand. You may need to step in and gently guide them back on track, perhaps moving the conversation to a later discussion. Oftentimes in discussions, there will be periods of silence after a statement. It is important to let these periods of silence last. If the teacher moves to fill them, the potential for more complex and in-depth debate is lost. Instead, notify students in advance that you will not be saving them during these pauses, and that they are responsible for continuing the conversation. Not all silence is golden, however. Sometimes a particular topic may be spent, or the students may be intellectually lazy. At these instances, teachers may want to ask a directed question at their discretion. Remember, it is important to remove yourself from the discussion as a facilitator. This can be going as far as not making eye contact with the speakers and removing all forms of reinforcement during the discussions. This way, the students are talking to each other and building new ideas, as opposed to talking to you and looking for the right answer. Challenge. This is the third of 4 dimensions and concerns the usage of text that is challenging without being impossible for a student to decipher. Key concepts of challenging discussions. Assessing understanding. In instances where discussions are slow-moving and there are few student-made statements or questions, it may be necessary to assess the understanding of the class. If a question asked by a teacher or student is met primarily with silence, it may be necessary to save that question for later and first scale back to a more basic concept from the text. Off-topic conversations. Students making off-topic replies to a question may be a sign that they don't fully understand the question or the related text. However, not all questions that are seemingly off-topic are necessarily so. By asking the student how their comment relates to the text, you can easily determine if it is a beneficial contribution or not. Repetitive ideas and statements. In discussions, students may begin to focus extensively on one idea, possibly even restating it in various ways. It is up to the teacher to decide if they are doing this because they are creating deeper understanding or if they are just making the same assertions. If it is the latter, you may wish to redirect the conversation by relating the current topic to a different one found in the text. Idea hopping. When students become energetic and engaged about the discussion, it is possible that they, as a group, will begin to rapidly change from idea to idea, without reflecting on the ideas proposed or making connections. As such, the discussion seems lively, but accomplishes very little. By directing students with questions that take more in-depth looks at the various ideas, a more meaningful discussion is created. Ownership. This is the last of the 4 dimensions and concerns finding balance between a chaotic discussion with no focus and a discussion controlled by the teacher, resulting in student dissatisfaction. Key concepts of ownership in discussions. Avoiding anarchy. If a class is unprepared to be granted full control of a discussion and a teacher grants it to them anyway, anarchy can ensue. This can range from discussions becoming arguments to some students taking control of the discussion, leaving more meek participants feeling left out. It is important that the facilitator keeps track of all discussions, even those at a more advanced level, to see if they need any support in reaching deeper understanding. Facilitator releasing control. However, it is important for facilitators to grant students autonomy when they are capable of handling it. Some teachers either are used to being in control, or want all their pre-made questions to be addressed, and may strong-arm discussions into the form they want. This can lead to student frustration, which removes them from fully interacting with the discussion topic. Teaching strategies from the text. Here are a pair of strategies proposed in the text that are highly useful, and I plan on using them in my own classroom. The fishbowl technique. The fishbowl technique allows students to observe ongoing group discussions. The fishbowl technique works great for large class sizes, where having one large circle may be unwieldy. The 2 circles established are called the inner circle and the outer circle. The teacher participates within the inner circle. The inner circle has the normal scheduled discussion. They are the only group that is allowed to speak. The outer circle observes the inner circle and reports on previously assigned topics. These topics can include individual student behavior, respect, eye contact, and others. And after an established amount of time, the circles switch places, with the outer circle becoming the inner and vice versa. Videotaping. Recording a session provides the class with many benefits. It allows teachers and students to reflect on their own performances. It also allows an impartial view of the proceedings. Often a participant may have a certain view on their performance after the fact, and viewing the videotape allows them to see their discussion from a different point of view. It also allows the teacher to choose certain areas of the seminar for in-depth analysis. This can enable them to make a particular point without relying on memory. I would like to close this presentation with a quote from the book. Challenging the ideas of others is critical to advancing understanding. In a student-driven seminar, students are challenging each other with questions and bringing up points discussed previously. At the end, no one may remember anything you did. This doesn't mean you didn't do anything. It means that you used the extra cockpit sparingly and so smoothly that it went unnoticed. This highlights the purpose of student-centered discussions. It allows students to analyze and understand material at their own pace and in their own words. It may feel as if you did very little, but that just means that you did well. Thank you for your time and for watching my presentation.